Hi, I'm Helen Bowers, founder of Ballet Beautiful, and today we'll be talking about how to maximize your Ballet Beautiful outer thigh workouts. So I'm going to come down on our side, and I just want to run through a couple different scenarios that we use in the Ballet Beautiful method to make sure that your placement is correct so you get the most out of every workout. So typically, when we're working on outer thigh with Ballet Beautiful, we're down on the mat in some sort of position with the hips turned in. So one way to think about this when you're starting is that your hips are stacked. So one hip is on top of the other. You're gonna pull in tight so you're engaging with your abs. We would be lifting up. There's so many variations of the movements that we can do from here. Something to think about, that you're not pulling back and engaging the hips and the hip flexors. I want this on the outside of the hip and the thigh, and mostly it's really a butt exercise. So keeping those hips parallel is imperative for getting the most out of this workout. So again, you would be turned in, the hips are stacked, we could be lowering and lifting here. Sometimes I'll work in a series of attitudes, rond de jambes, opening and closing, many different positions, but always returning to that parallel movement that really targets the outside of the hip and the thigh. So again, making sure that you're not pulling back, you're not sinking down. You wouldn't want to arch here. Your stomach is engaged, your hips are turned in a nice parallel, and you're working through that full range of motion. Another thing to keep in mind is that typically, the higher you lift the leg, the harder the exercise is. So if you're doing your outer thigh exercises down here, it may be challenging, but if you're able to go up by another 20 or 30 degrees, the burn is going to be much, much deeper, and the impact will be greater. So you'll see the changes more quickly, and that's really rewarding, of course. Another thing to think about is to make sure that while we want that leg to be lifted nice and high, and again, you should be following my cues in the videos and the workouts, you don't want to come all the way up to a point where it's no longer engaging and your outer thigh, because you're sort of just using the body's weight and gravity, and you're not really actually muscling through those exercises. So that's very important too. You don't want to be too low, you don't want to be too high where you can't feel the exercise at all, but in that nice in between where you're really getting that deep, deep burn. So it's just a couple of great pointers to keep in mind throughout your exercises to help you always get the most out of every Ballet Beautiful workout. I can't wait to see you at the next one.